getting to a scary video. That's only 3 seconds. Oh, 3 seconds. React to this guy named Jibble, and then I'm gonna add a premiere.
I gave my dad a fake winning lottery.
There's been a few videos.
I gave my dad a fake winning lottery ticket for his birthday because I thought watching him celebrate for 10 seconds would be funny. He scratched it, saw $1 million, and immediately started screaming. Before I could tell him it was fake, this dumb bah called his boss and yelled, "I quit, you bald bitch!" Then he threw his work phone into the pool. I tried stopping him, but he pushed me away, grabbed his car keys, and drove straight to a dealership. 2 hours later, he came home in a brand new Ferrari. I finally pulled him aside and whispered, "Dad, the ticket is fake." He just stared at me without saying a word. The next morning, I woke up to all my clothes packed into garbage bags outside the front door. My dad was changing the lock. I laughed and said, "Okay, bro, you got me." He looked at me completely serious. "No, get the hell off my property." I reminded him I was his son. He pointed at the Ferrari and said, "That thing is my son." I gave my dad a fake winning lottery ticket for his birthday. A bully snatched my phone out of my hand on the school bus and held it outside the window while laughing. "Beg like a good boy." I reached for it, but this dumb threw my phone onto the road as the bus drove away. I looked out the window and watched it explode into pieces. He started laughing so hard he could barely breathe. Then I noticed his brand new AirPods Max sitting on the seat beside. I grabbed them before he could react, opened the emergency window, and launched them straight into a giant muddy field. His smile instantly disappeared. "Bro, those were $600. He immediately forced the driver to stop and jumped outside to get them. The second he reached the field, both his legs sank knee-deep into the mud. He started screaming while desperately digging around for his headphones. I looked at the driver's seat and smiled. While everyone was still watching him struggle, I politely took the wheel, closed the doors, and started driving away. The bully looked up from the mud and started chasing the bus. "Bro, what are you doing?" I leaned out the window, waved at it, and yelled, "Now beg like a good boy!" A bully snatched my phone out of my hand on the school bus and held it outside the window while laughing. "Beg like a good boy!" I was sitting in math class when the teacher suddenly walked up and delivered a light slap to the side of my face. She accused me of sleeping, even though I was literally writing notes. When I told her that, she grabbed my notebook and threw it in the trash. At that point, even the quiet kids were staring at her like she was completely nuts. I went to the principal after class, but he claimed I was lying. Then the girl sitting behind me mentioned she had recorded the entire thing. The principal watched the video twice, called the teacher into his office, and told us to return to class. An hour later, we saw her walking through the hallway carrying a cardboard box. Someone whispered, "No way." Every student immediately crowded around the classroom door to watch her leave. She turned around one last time and saw all of us staring. I pushed through the crowd, smiled, and flipped her off. She gasped and pointed at me. "See? This is what I've been dealing with." The principal looked at me, then looked at her and said, "Honestly, I'm starting to understand it." I was sitting in math class when the teacher suddenly walked up and delivered a light slap to the side of my face. She accused me of sleeping. I was standing by my landlord's open casket when my alarm blared a loud foghorn. I panicked, and my greasy thumb slipped, launching my phone directly into his open mouth. The entire family gasped as the violent vibrations rattled in his throat, making the jaw snap open and close like a possessed puppet. His son grabbed my shirt and screamed, "Did you just throw a phone in my dad's mouth for a video?" To cover my I grabbed the landlord's cold, stiff hand and yelled, "It's a miracle! He's trying to communicate from beyond!" The priest dropped his Bible, fell to his knees, and started screaming prayer. I reached inside the mouth, retrieved my phone, and read out a random spam text. "Your package has been delayed." The family wept in tears of joy, believing it was a sacred message, and handed me the landlord's Rolex as a reward. I was standing by my landlord.
The Rolex is literally square.
An arrogant guy in a Lamborghini cut off my 80-year-old grandmother at a crosswalk, splashing filthy street water all over her Sunday church dress while flipping us off and laughing. My sweet grandmother wiped the muddy water off her face, spit on the pavement, and hissed, "Get his bro!" At the very next red light, I sprinted up to his open passenger window, holding a flat, nasty skunk I picked up from the gutter 5 seconds earlier. I slammed the smelly skunk straight onto his passenger seat, reached over, and flipped his air conditioning fan to maximum power. Before he could even react, the terrifying smell of pure skunk spray exploded through his sealed luxury. My boss's spoiled, dumbass son ruined both of his kidneys by drinking 4 energy drinks a day, leaving him in desperate need of a donor. My boss pulled me into his office and offered me a massive 6-figure promotion if I gave his son one of my kidneys. I agreed, went through the painful surgery, and spent a month recovering in the hospital like a loyal employee. But when I finally walked back into work expecting my promotion, my boss handed me a cardboard box and fired me for taking too many sick days during my recovery. But I remained completely calm. I quietly bought a massive remote control with a flashing red button, walked out to the parking lot, and placed it on his windshield with a handwritten note. I secretly installed a self-destruct button inside my kidney before the surgery. He got so utterly terrified that he transferred $50,000 into my bank account overnight, and now he brings me coffee every morning in fear that I'll press the button and turn his son into a firework. My boss is spoiled. A stranger cut in front of me at the grocery store, so I made him instantly regret it. I was waiting in a giant 15-minute checkout line after an exhausting day at work. Out of nowhere, a guy with a cart overflowing with groceries pushed right past me, shoved his cart in front of
What's
mine,
going on in this?
and started dumping his
I'm
stuff
still
onto the
waiting
conveyor
for
belt. I tapped his shoulder and said, "Excuse me, man, the line starts way back there." He didn't even turn around. He just scoffed. "I'm in a hurry, kid. Learn to be faster." I didn't want to let it slide. I casually reached over to a nearby display and dropped a few super expensive bottles of aged wine straight onto the conveyor belt. Because he was in such a rush, he instantly tapped his credit card on the reader. The machine beeped, the receipt printed, and he finally looked down to see a charge for $460. He went completely pale, staring at the screen in pure shock. I leaned over his shoulder, smiled, and said, "Damn, I guess you're eating water for the rest of the month." A stranger cut in. I did the most insane thing just to avoid failing my final physics exam. I hadn't.
Busy schedule.
I finally landed an interview at the biggest structural engine.
Busy.
I did the most insane before sliding onto the floor. My strict professor panicked. Emergency.
Busy schedule.
I finally landed an interview at the.
If someone roasts you and
I finally landed an interview at the biggest structural engineering firm in the city. The CEO, a terrifying guy in a custom suit, asked me to present my portfolio. I plugged my laptop in, hit play on the presentation, and the CEO's face turned purple. He slammed his fist on the table, screamed, "You think this is a joke?" and threw his scorching hot coffee right at my chest. I was violently escorted out by security. The next day, I was completely blacklisted. Construction companies blocked my number. Someone spray-painted saboteur on my front door, and my landlord threatened to evict me. I finally ambushed the CEO in the parking lot. "What did I even do?" He glared at me like I was garbage. "You showed me a video of our new skyscraper collapsing set to clown music." I froze. My idiot roommate had used my CapCut account to edit a meme video using my serious architectural renders and set it as my main file. The CEO thought I was a psycho mocking their multi-million-dollar project, which sucks because that job paid $6. I finally...
if someone roasts you in front of a group, do not get angry or roast them back immediately. Most people get defensive.
I'm just gonna end the video.